And it wasn't until years later I realized, oh, commonplace for me is $52 million to somebody else. I grew up in Birmingham, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. And when I was growing up, there was a strong prejudice against buying foreign cars. I, to this day, have never owned a foreign car. Now, I'm talking about the badges, Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Every vehicle I've owned is one of those, except I once owned an AMC, American Motors, or an AM General. A, guess what it stands for? So there you go. So I've owned all these American cars my entire life, but we grew up in Detroit, and Detroit's the Motor City, and I had neighbors, friends, relatives who worked at the big three. You did not drive a foreign car. When I was growing up, man across the street from me had a foreign car. And I remember seeing this red foreign car in his driveway, and his name was Mr. Leidorf. Mr. Leidorf. And that's important because you'll be able to look this up if you don't believe the story. So Mr. Leidorf had this red car in his driveway when I was growing up, and about once a month in the summertime, he'd roll it out of his garage, wipe it down, sometimes wax it, and then occasionally drive it around the block, put it back in the garage. That was it. Every now and then I'd see him do this, and I thought, the guy's a nice guy. In fact, I mowed that family's lawn for a while. I got to know them that well, but I never asked about that car because it was a foreign car. So a few years go by, and one day, this is in the late 70s, early 80s, the Guiles Band comes to town. And they're playing at Pine Knob, just outside of Detroit. And while they're in town, the tour bus comes down my street and parks in front of their house, the Leidorf house. And the band members all get out, and Mr. Leidorf pushes his foreign car out of the garage. And they're all standing around watching, looking at it, admiring it, apparently. And they get in the car, a couple of them do, take turns with Mr. Leidorf driving the car around. And somebody said, hey, by the way, did you see the Guiles Band tour bus was on our street yesterday? I'm like, yeah, what's that all about? Oh, they wanted to check out Mr. Leidorf's Ferrari. Oh, it's a Ferrari. Okay. Now, I've heard of Ferrari. It's a foreign car company, but it's a Ferrari. Okay. Mental note, Ferrari. Bright red Ferrari. A little more time goes by. One day I look out the front window, and there's Mr. Leidorf's car on the front lawn of his house with these things set up around it like it's a model having its photograph taken, which it was. Professional photographer taking pictures with a big old camera. And I asked later, what's going on? He said, oh, they're taking pictures of Mr. Leidorf's Ferrari for a calendar. A calendar. It's going to be in a calendar. I think to myself, okay, that's interesting. But again, I don't know much about the car. So one day, one of my older brothers is over there talking to the Leidorfs, and I see the car is out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go take a look at this car. And I go out and I walk around the car. And I'm looking at it, and it's a beautiful car. I mean, it's foreign, but it's a beautiful car. Turns out it is a 1962 Ferrari GTO. Now, I don't know much about cars at that time because I'm still in probably junior high school, and I'd spent my time studying American muscle cars. This was not an American muscle car, but it was a beautiful car. I understand that the body was made out of aluminum, had a V12 engine, looked like a race car. The paint was gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful car. And I found out later that Fred was one of the presidents of the Ferrari Club of America. And he had bought this car. And when he bought the car, it was known in the community as being a Ferrari GTO, but it had the wrong engine in it because it had a 4-liter engine in it. Again, I don't even understand liters and engines because 426 I understand. 4 liters, who knows? I mean, someone could do the math. Not me. So I understand that Fred's got this Ferrari GTO, but it's a foreign car. I don't think that much about it. I know there's some attention being paid to it, but whatever. And then I heard a story that, and this has all been, I've picked up from people now and I've pieced it together, that when he bought the car, it was purported to have the wrong engine in it because a Ferrari GTO normally wouldn't come with a 4-liter engine. So he'd gotten a good deal on it because it was mismatched on the engine. He did some research in the years he owned the car, and he discovered that it was actually a factory race car. It was raced by the factory for several years. And at one point in time, they are the ones who put the 4-liter engine into it. So now it becomes a correct engine car with a racing pedigree. It's been documented that it raced at, Le Mans, places like that. And it's a gorgeous car. Now suddenly the car is extremely interesting to a lot of people, including people like the members of the Guiles Band or to people shooting calendars of Ferraris. And so my understanding is that sometime in the early to mid 80s, he sold the car. I don't know what he sold it for, but he sold it for substantially more than he paid for it. Because remember that when he got it, mismatched engine, but now it's actually factory correct, the racing pedigree, and he sells it to a guy who's a known guy in the Ferrari collector field. So the car goes down to that guy. That guy hangs onto the car for a long time. I heard that he was actually taking it to places like Cars and Coffee and so on. But eventually he had the car taken out and completely brought up to the best standards possible. Took it to all kinds of shows where it was winning best in class, best in show, best in this. There's no question it's one of the greatest Ferrari GTOs out there. And by the way, they're beautiful cars. And I know some people are going to give me a hard time for saying it's a foreign car. I'm simply trying to explain my mindset as to why it didn't register with me. If the guy had had a Hemi Charger Daytona with a 4-speed, I would have been all over that car. But that's not what it was. I didn't know what that car was. I didn't study those cars at that time in my life. So anyway, the guy in Ohio has the car for a while, cleans it up, gets it brought right up to, the best that can be done with it, shows it a bunch of places, wins a whole bunch of awards with it, and then finally decides that it's time for him to sell it. And he sells the car for $52 million at auction. $52 million at auction. That's the car that was across the street from me when I was growing up. And I never once went over and said, hey, Fred, can I have a ride in that car? When this crossed the news that the car sold, I called up one of my brothers and I said, did you hear the Leidorf Ferrari just sold for $52 million? He goes, yeah. I said, really? I had no idea. And he goes, well, you know the story, right? And I do now, And I go, but now that I know that, I wish I'd gotten a ride. And he goes, oh, you didn't get a ride in it? I did. What do you mean you got a ride in the car? How? He goes, one day I was just walking around out in the front yard doing something, mowing the lawn or something. Fred pulls the car out. I go over to talk to him. And my brother's an automotive engineer, talking car stuff. Because it turns out that Fred also works for a car company. And they're talking car stuff. And Fred goes, you want to go for a ride? And Ken goes, sure. So he goes, yeah, we jumped in the car and went for a ride. He goes, to this day, I can tell you exactly where we went turn by turn. The funny thing is, when he told me the story, I can now tell you turn by turn. And it's because I'm like, that could have been me. Down the end of Yosemite, right on Adams, left on Big Beaver, right on Kensington, left on Sharing Crossroad, out onto Woodward, a loop, and then reverse it backwards and bring it back. And so Ken had a ride in the car. I did not. And so again, it goes back to the thing about I've never owned a foreign car, but when I grew up, you didn't buy a foreign car. You don't understand. If you're not from Detroit, in the 70s, there was a prejudice against foreign cars. I remember going to a concert at Cobo Hall, and my friend drove, and it was a Honda car that we were in. People were kicking the car as we drove through the parking lot, trying to find a parking space. Get this foreign piece of garbage out of here. I mean, that's the environment we were in, okay? So I acknowledge now that car is one of the coolest things that's ever rolled on four wheels. And I agree with their people who say that Ferrari GTO is the most beautiful car ever made. And I would say that is an arguable point, meaning that if you say that, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Even if I found a car I find more beautiful, I'm not sure I can think of one. And I've come around now. It's not just the $52 million, though. But it's just amazing that car, because it was something I saw so often, it became commonplace for me. And it wasn't until years later I realized, commonplace for me is $52 million to somebody else. You could buy a brand new Hemi Cuda 4-speed convertible for about $5,000. Of course, I'm talking 71, 72. But that's right around the time that Fred bought that Ferrari. And so if you want to, you can go on the internet and type in Leidorf Ferrari, Leydorf, Leidorf Ferrari. And Fred's passed away since, but that name is still attached to the car because Fred was so big in the Ferrari community. But he also did the research because when he bought the car, he knew it was special, but he didn't know how special. And so his research proved how special it was. And so I know when it went to auction and got sold for the $52 million, they said it's being sold with documentation to prove all of this, including its factory pedigree, including why this engine is in there and all of that, proving that this is not a mismatched car. I remember Jay Leno talking in one of his videos about seeing one for sale when he first got to Beverly Hills early in his career. And you're talking thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. And for it to go from that to $52 million is a bit faster than inflation. When you think about old cars, like if somebody had the wherewithal to buy a Hemi Cuda 71 convertible and park it, okay, 50 years later, it's worth millions of dollars. But what's it cost to get it from here to here in storage and keep it clean and take, and there are other costs. Now, those costs might not cost you millions of dollars, but still there's something there. And of course, what's driving the value at auction is the rarity of these cars.
Right now, we've got the greatest offer we've ever had from Avalon King. Their AS9 DIY ceramic coating is now just $59.99. That's $20 off. And for the first 100 people today to click the link in the description below, they're gonna get a free bottle of the Armor Shield Light, a $34.99 value included. Now, what we love about this is that it has the same hydrophobic properties that we love about the ceramic coating, but it's so much easier to work with and use whenever you need just a spot or whatever cleaning up, like you would a quick detail in the Armor Shield Light. And if your car is already coated, this will sort of energize and rejuvenate the coating to make it perform even better. So check them out now at the link in the description below to get yours today.